Hey everybody, it's Jochen Hayden, and I'm back with the Desert Wolf versus Wirraway Ace Warner Pacific campaign. Of course, this is Scenario 1 with stacky limits, and today we'll be looking at the 6th of December, 1942 replay, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so we're already in the Coast Watchers. It's nighttime. I'm still in a state of shock as to the Japanese paratrooper troop ship aircraft landing slaughter over Rosso Island last turn. I don't really know what to think or make of that. I'm still hoping to get some clarity on that because it was just really shocking. Like, seemed like an unnecessary waste of troops and aircraft, but let's press on. A lot of stuff is just amphibious and loading. There's not much to glean from it. Okay, so the Lark is over at Coco's cleaning up the mines that somebody left there. Some very negligent Japanese cruiser mine layer probably left some junk on the ground there. Oh, so we got more midget subs over here in Nukusai. I don't know what Wirraway's doing, but he flooded the area with these midget subs. Hey, San Francisco, remember last turn they were using their 8-inch guns on a midget sub? I'd like to see that again. Uh-oh. What's this? It looks like the Japanese are coming back to the Cocos. And that ship that's there, I believe, is the Lark. A minesweeper Lark. And they want nothing to do with that smoke, so they're leaving the area. Alright, we got some bombardments on Kusai. These are heavy cruisers here. A reasonable amount of casualties inflicted here for heavy cruisers. Not bad. Okay. Oh, the Washington. I didn't see this guy come in. Oh, this is nice. I don't know how. I guess I've been so focused on this, like looking at this stuff, I didn't see this guy coming in. The Washington is a very modern. This is a North Carolina class battleship here, and just this single ship with the 16-inch guns that it has inflicted all of this damage. So pretty cool to see the Washington in action here. A fast, modern battleship for the Allies. Ooh, the Repulse. All right, switching it up a little bit. So the Repulse obviously is with the Wichita. Okay, so he's using his battle cruiser and some heavy cruisers here. Obviously, the Repulse was part of Force Z. In this campaign, Force C survived the whole operations near Malaya, so he's using them now. All right, so quite a bit of zeros left on the ground here. I don't really understand why. Again, if these were brought in after the fact, or if they were there the whole time and just got caught up in it all. But a couple were destroyed and a lot were damaged on the ground. Some more unloading. Some more unloading. Okay, we got daylight now. Coast Watchers are giving us the goods here. kind of strange we're not seeing any unloading going on at Nauru. Just a lot of unloading. I'm just trying to get through it. All right. Looks like we still have mines here. Obviously, we have DMSs there, which are destroyer mine sweepers. So there was heavy cruisers. We saw those kind of out. Last turn, we saw these guys coming in. So now they're here. Let's see what they do. So far, they got the Nachi, Ashigara. These appear to be all the Miyokos. These are Miyokos so far. Let's see if we see anything else besides the Ashigara and the Nachi. Well, let's just find out. Miyoko and Maya. I believe the Maya... Haguro... Yeah, I think the Maya is a... not part of this class, but not that really matters. Not much got actually hit here. Not quite sure why. I would think 4 heavy cruisers would do a lot of damage, but they did do some damage to the base. Okay, rolling into the air phase, AM side of it. Oh boy. Get ready for some sub spam, guys. Well, maybe they've all sunk. There was not very many subs today. Wait, we spotted enemy carriers. Wait, did you guys hear that? We've spotted enemy carriers. What the heck carriers did we just spot? That's concerning. Oh, we'll have to see what that is. All right. Japanese doing some sweeps. Some Betties coming in to soften up Sandpit. It won't take much. There's hardly anything there. It's just a fragment of a base force. So I'm not sure if the Allied bombers are intending to fly this turn, because we saw last turn that DesertWolf had grounded a lot of them, presumably just to get them repaired and back into operation. I don't know if they're going to fly today. But we got a big heavy raid coming into the impassable hex here. It's not getting much done. It's oh wow. So that's about a little over 200 bombers sent at this hex so far. And they're just not doing much damage. Personally, I think this entire operation should be abandoned. I don't see him ever getting through here. I'd be focusing all that up here and try to break through up there. He's sending... you know what? I wonder if he's going to attack with this amount of bombers going in there. Okay, Sally's coming from Balikpapan to get this ready to fall. Okay, B-17. Oh! Well, that explains why there were zeros there. Yeah. Watch these zeros just get beat up by these B-17s. This is the thing about playing this in Japan that I don't look forward to, is dealing with these B-17s and these B-24s where you just can't shoot them. You can't hurt them. Right? Look at. Yeah, they can't even get in there to do anything. Man, that's frustrating. They're just not doing anything. And you know what else? I think this is incredibly risky for Wirraway to be operating these aircraft on Tagula. I mean, that base is dangerously close to getting taken out, and you have carriers nearby that can intercept these guys. I don't know if I would do that. Look at that. B-17's completely unfazed by the Japanese cap and go in to bomb it anyway. God, just sucks, man. You can't stop them. It's not fair. Yeah, well, okay, we had bad weather here, and apparently, I guess they disrupted these guys enough that they didn't hit much. And then the fighters, okay, this is Russell. Got it. Second Raiding Regiment. That's a parachute regiment. Okay, get some bombs on target here at Nauru. That's all necessary. Liberators coming in from Abemama to Kusai. Alright. Why is always Japanese aircraft over Derby? What is it about Derby? You notice that? Like every turn there's recon at Derby. What's there? See? This is why I would have been very, very hesitant to station these fighters here. Junio C. Junio. So these are aircraft attached from the Junio. I don't think it's wise to leave these guys on the island. Like this whole thing is too hard to defend. It's too isolated. Why even defend it? You lose 100 aircraft transporting troops here to die anyway. Putting fighters on this island to get shot down and bombarded. It doesn't make sense to me. And again, I do understand that I am a novice player. And Wirraway's been doing this for a lot longer than me. But just on the surface, these decisions aren't making sense to me right now. And I'm hoping to get some insight when DesertWolf watches this and hits me up on Discord and explains, maybe we're trying to justify why Wirraway might be doing this or that. Because he understands it being a Japanese player himself. Alright, let's go ahead and fast forward to the end of this and see how this resolves. Ooh. Wow. Not well for the Allies. Obviously, you can't trust these numbers on the combat summary, but I will say this. I saw a lot of F4Fs getting blown up. So maybe it wasn't as bad of an idea to put these zeros here as I thought. Maybe it was, yeah. I'll shut up now. Okay, so the AM phase is done, going into PM phase. Japanese carrier aircraft. What? No. There's no way. Task Force 165 followed by Japanese carrier aircraft. That can't be. There's no way they're there that fast. He would have had to have gone full speed for days to get down there, and that just burns up way too much fuel. Okay, B-17's coming to Nauru in the PM phase. Decent hits. Alright, that PM phase was pretty quiet. Okay, no air transport this turn, or if there was, they weren't into crazy places, so I'm glad to see that. I can't take another turn like that where Wirraway loses that many aircraft. Ah, it finally sank, guys. Remember I was telling you that the thing was on the fringes, right? Well, it finally went down. So the fourth bank was that ship that hit the rocks like 3 turns ago. And I told you it was like teetering on the edge of dying, and it finally did sink. So there you go. Okay, got some more stuff unloading at Nauru here. Not quite sure what that is coming ashore. Let's see what this is. No idea. And more unloading at Kusai. All right, so I don't know if we spotted carriers. I don't know where they're at. We'll have to look around later on. I don't think they're in the Marshalls yet, but let's get into land combat and see what we get. Okay, the usual Japanese bombardment south of Kuncheng. Let's see how this goes. Yeah. I mean, every little bit counts, right? Because if you look at it, if you think about it, right, basically every combatant squad gives you assault value. So right off the bat, this is telling you there are 645 combatant squads, and this is raw AV, right? This isn't adjusted. So I guess if you think about it, 6 AV was chipped down here, right? 2 of it you can get back, 4 you can't. I guess if you did this for months, you could whittle this number down if they weren't replacing them, but I don't. These bombardments, I don't know. Okay, the Japanese are bombarding at Kusai. Quite honestly, I don't think they should, because the counterfire is probably going to be worse for them. They managed to escape getting hurt this time. Another bombardment here. A little better numbers than normal, but still not going to change anything. Okay, Tagula. Japanese are counter-firing here. Alright. Japanese deliberate attack at Sandpit. And they should take this because it doesn't appear that the Allies are even alive anymore. Whatever was here, they got pulled out or just got like completely obliterated by the bombing beforehand. Okay. I don't understand this. I don't understand what's going on here. So you're telling me that Wirraway spent 100 aircraft to do this? To put this down? Okay. Oh, Allied deliberate attack at Kusai. How do you think this one's going to go, guys? I think it's going to go very, very well. Because most of these units have no firepower in them. Or very little. I think this is going to be a good attack. Let's find out. You ready? Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I got this right at least. Okay, I predicted this and it's true. This attack went incredibly well despite these odds, right? The odds are not great. The adjusted wasn't great. But the amount of firepower, and here's the thing. I don't think the Japanese have any anti-tank capability here. And there is a lot of tanks here. We have 2 tank battalions, 3 tank battalions, right? And whatever indigenous armored support is in this infantry division. There's just a lot of firepower in the allied units here, and the Japanese don't have any. Look at this. Very few of these units have any kind of measurable firepower. The infantry regiment, the tank company might be good. This naval garrison guard unit's fine. These construction battalions have very little firepower. These guys have some marginal firepower, but that's just not enough against tanks. So there you can see the Allied tank superiority is just running rampant on Kusai, and at this rate, they'll take the island in not too long. 10-1 losses for the Japanese on Kusai. It's not good. Okay, and then he getting up to airfield size 1 now, and that gets a little flag on it. Rosso Island expands fortification to size 1. That's for the Allies. Nevada refit. Cool. Let's see if we get any new arrivals here. Okay, we get a sub at the Panama Canal. I want to find out where those carriers are at. Let's find them. Okay, let's take a look at some intelligence here. Aircraft losses for today. A lot of Wildcats shot down, but an almost equal number of Zeros lost in that as well. And unfortunately, these guys were not able to stop anything. And some were lost on the ground as well in 2 bombardments. So 19 for the Allies, 16 for the Japanese. Of those 19 aircraft lost today, 6 missing pilots, 2 killed, 2 wounded. Army lost points today, 4 for the Allies and 4 for the Japanese. Ship sunk. We're showing the 4th bank was sunk. And I was looking at Tracker before I started recording, and according to Tracker, this was sunk by scuttling. I don't know if that's correct or not, but that's what it says. Okay, political points. By my calculations, DesertWolf gained 41 points, which would, I mean, he spent 9 points. It'd be just about impossible to track down where he spent those 9 points on. For the turn, the Japanese gained 28 points, but it keeps their win ratio steady at 1.617. No gain, no loss. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at combat reporter data now. Should be right. Where is it at? There we go. We'll start with the sea activity. So we had mine clearing going on at Kusai, and we can see 12 mines were cleared, but not without cost. Both destroyer minesweepers were engaged by the shore battery and took some hits. Let's see what kind of damage it took. Elliot and Chandler. Let's see, minesweeping. The Chandler and the Elliot, there you go, pretty minor there. 8 centimeter DP gun did a little bit of system damage. On the Elliot, same thing. The 8 centimeter DP gun did a little bit more damage, but none of this is show stopping by any means. And they can continue fighting. Also had a little ASW activity near Kusai. It was a midget sub, but nothing really came of that. And then more mine clearing at Kusai. So whatever was there laid a lot of mines, because it's been a couple days of this now, and that's quite a bit of mines to be clearing. One thing of note, if you look over here on the map, we saw what appeared to be a sub-mine laying task force during the replay. So it's subs that are bringing the mines in here, but DesertWolf planned for that. So it's kind of a waste of time putting the mines in there. He kind of expected that. Okay, we had a short bombardment at the Cocos Islands, and despite the heavy guns that were involved here, very little was actually damaged. We'll take a look at the actual damage of the base. And as you can see, they're still there, and they're split up into 2 different task forces. I don't know exactly what the intent of these guys is right now. They are blockading and keeping supply from coming in for sure. And the Lark was leaving the area, and it would be best to continue going because it almost got engaged twice during this last turn, but managed to speed off just in time. The base itself is basically no longer damaged, so whatever shelling occurred, all the engineers here were able to patch it up. So kind of a wasted sortie, but we'll see what comes of this. I don't really know what the long-term goal is for Wirraway at this place. We had a bombardment on Kusai, did a lot of damage there. We had a bombardment by the Repulse and the Wichita and the Columbia at Tagula, and it did some damage to some of these aircraft here that were up in cap this turn. These were kind of sneaky to get in there. Oh, and don't forget, we also had the Washington. The first time I've seen it in combat in this campaign was involved at Nauru and did quite a bit of damage there. One 16-inch arm fast battleship did that much. Not too bad. All right, I will go ahead and take a look at some of this ground activity. We had a bombardment attack at Tagula. The Japanese recaptured Sandpit, so that's done. At Rossel Island, we had a bombardment again by the Japanese, which I shocked that they're even still there. At Kusai, we had an actual Allied deliberate attack, and it went very, very well, as I mentioned. These are great numbers. 10-1 losses for the Japanese here. The armor is definitely making up the difference. The armor that's on the island is going to slice and dice through these units here, and there's more to unload still. So the conquest of this island is probably going to go even better than Nauru. Bombardment in China in the north, and another one here near Chengte, another bombardment. Not even going to bother looking at the amphibious stuff. There's not much to glean from it. Air attacks. So we had a force-on-force encounter here. We had Japanese flying Cap with Wildcats flying Sweep. About a 1-to-1 trade on this. We had bomber attacks on Tagula as well. Didn't do a whole lot of damage there. A raid on Nauru. A couple in China, not even worth mentioning. A lot of aircraft were expended on this or used by the Japanese with very little to gain for it. Okay, this was a Liberator attack on the Japanese on Rossel, which was the 2nd Raiding Regiment, which was targeted here. Bombers at Nauru, Kusai, and again in China. And of course, the Japanese did launch a raid on the Allies at Sandpit, but we'll take a look in just a second what became of them. Looking at SIGINT for this turn, we've got radio transmissions at Truk, and that's always an ominous sign. Radio transmissions out here near Nagasaki. This is probably just a supply convoy coming in and going out. Yeah, that's really all the important SIGINT that I can see. And located stuff, you can take a look for yourself. But I don't see anything particularly noteworthy here that's worth mentioning right now. Okay, ops report stuff. Let's look at Intel tab. And I see here that Ndeni is now up to a size 1 airfield, and Rossel is up to a size 1 fort. So we'd take a look at that. And Ndeni's now got a flag on the map. and all these engineers are doing a great job terraforming this base right now. It is something that can be used later on. And then Ross Island's got fortification size 1, which is pretty decent considering how few engineers are actually on the island. It is just going to give the defenders a little bit more stuff to hide behind. Not that they need it, because who is actually defending here? Is it us or the Japanese? I would think it's the Allies, because we own it now, right? I don't really know. Okay, let's look at Japanese information. If we scroll down to the bottom, we see that the Japanese captured Sandpit. And that's in the Dutch East Indies, right here. This was the base that was used by DesertWolf to get the early warning on the Kido Butai moving to the Java Sea and the Makassar Strait. It was a brilliant stroke of genius to put those PBYs there, and it took Wirraway a couple days to figure out what the heck was going on. I'm sure he saw that his carriers were sighted, but he probably didn't immediately realize that it was from this base. And again, I've already said it, but this is a case study into why you don't leave bases undefended or unconquested as the Japanese. When you've secured all the more important stuff, you go back and you back cap all the rest of these, just to avoid the Allies doing what exactly DesertWolf did here. But he captured it back. So what happened to the defenders, you ask? They didn't seem to be there when the Japanese landed. Well, I have an answer for that. If we go down to here, take a look at this. All these Catalinas were transporting this naval base force from Sandpit. All right? And I think I know where they went too. Right here. They're back. So these PBYs here, these are the British ones here, they transported the 106 Royal Navy base force back to the island. So that's what happened. DesertWolf pulled them out via air just before the Japanese attacked, which prevented their any further loss. So really, in and out, lost a couple PBYs, but definitely worth the trade. Just a really good operation, all said and done. Last thing we'll take a look at is the submarine tab. And you'll notice there's a marked drop-off in submarine contacts by the Allies. The other thing we're really seeing is the I-172, which we'd previously seen hit repeatedly, hit again. But I think we're mostly done with the Japanese ridiculous midget sub threat. I think they've been more or less neutralized now, and we won't have to see them again. But it definitely was fun to watch for a couple days. Either that, or we no longer have ASW in the area spotting them, and they're actually still there, which could also be the case, and we'll talk about that. Okay, I'm done with the combat reporter stuff, so let's take a look at China briefly. There's not much to discuss here as normal. We just got the usual bombardments up here and over here, and not much else going on. What is this? Moving northeast. Okay, well, here's something new. DesertWolf is moving this unit to the northeast, which is this direction, which would be out this way. I have no idea why, but he's moving a unit this way, and I don't really know what purpose that's going to serve, but we'll watch that and see why it is that he's doing that. Over here in this hex, these guys have basically fully recovered and are back to very little disruption, which is going to make it harder for the Japanese when it comes time to attack. I feel like Wirraway is focusing his attention on a hex here that's not particularly going to be easy to break through at, and he should be working on this one, because this terrain is better than that terrain. This terrain is ×2, this is ×3. It's going to be that much harder to break through here. I think he should at least try to get these guys dislodged, but I don't know. I'm sure he's got a better plan than I do. In Burma, not a whole lot of activity here. Just the usual stuff. No cap traps, no crazy anything here. One thing I do want to point out to you is the raid that the Kido Butai launched on Akyab about 2 weeks ago. I believe its intent was to disrupt the supply lines into Burma, but as you can see, it didn't really accomplish that too well, because we now have more convoys heading back in with supply. So whatever disruption was supposedly done there was very short-lived, and despite the loss of a number of ships, the Allies have tons more ships, and that's not an issue. You can bet that a bunch of these ships can be moved over from Ceylon to Calcutta to continue shuttling supply into Akyab, in which case it moves its way down into Prome and gets distributed through the rest of Burma. So you gotta wonder how effective that raid really was in hindsight. It wasn't great. It didn't really destroy any major surface ships. It killed a bunch of replaceable cargo vessels and didn't really disrupt the supply flow into Burma for very long. You kind of wonder if there was a better use for the Kido Butai than that. But, you know, again, hindsight's 2020. I'm sure Wirraway was expecting better results than what he got. But moving on. No more early warning radar in the Dutch East Indies area. That's been shut down. So we heard a mention of carriers spotted during the replay, and this is what was spotted. So I am not certain if this is just bad intel and there's actually more going on here than this, or if this is just like a mini KB that's split off and is moving southeast, which is down this direction, right? Which isn't good. But I'm wondering if this is maybe a shield for the big boys that are probably over here or even over here right now. Because if you look at it, this is within the extended spotting range of these PBYs coming out of Darwin. That's how we were able to catch it. Just barely able to reach it. And that could mean either this is literally all there is, or that could also mean that this is bad intel because not enough aircraft got enough passes over it because it's so far away from the base. Or this is, like I said, this is mini KB, which I believe some of those ships don't move as fast as the main big boys. So they may be lagging behind, and Wirraway detached them so they wouldn't slow down the main body. I do believe that the Kido Butai is somewhere in this area here. Let's say it's right here, right? That would put it 3 days sailing at normal speed to Kusai, or 1.5 days at full speed. But I still believe that Kido Butai needs to stop at truck to refuel, because that's a long way from Singapore to truck, right? And while the big ships are going to have sufficient fuel for that, the smaller escort ships are going to be a bit lower on fuel. And if you do want to operate in a full speed configuration, right, to like go flank speed into combat, your escort ships are not going to have enough fuel to do that without stopping to top off from the big ships. That takes ops points, that removes movement from the task forces. So to mitigate that, I still think that Wirraway needs to pull in the truck and top off the fuel for all the ships before continuing the combat down here. But who knows how many days that we've got left? 5, 6, maybe less. So the Japanese, now we're talking about Coral Sea. The Japanese have aircraft basically stationed all over the place in the Solomons area. Rabaul seems to be abuzz with activity. A lot of aircraft there. Fighters, bombers, auxiliary aircraft. A lot of troops are now in Rabaul that we didn't see before. And we have a lot of enemy fighters in Tagula. And now my guess is that most of these guys are going to be pulled out next turn, because it's blatantly clear that there's a lot of fighters here and they need to be neutralized. So you can expect DesertWolf to use his carrier aircraft to level this airfield. So there's no way that Wirraway can put enough fighters in Tagula to overcome all of this. We're heavy on fighters right here. So my guess is he's going to pull out of there. Okay. Now let's take a look at the carriers that are now supporting Tagula and what they're set up to do. These guys are I'm sure they'll be back. They're in training right now, like not to be used. I'm sure they'll be put back to something. The rest of these guys were set up to be on escort duty for a navalist strike, and the rest were on cap just for the carrier task force itself. VF2 was the only unit that was set up to do a sweep, and they did lose a decent amount of aircraft during that raid, and some pilots, as you can see. We have all 4 Dauntless squadrons configured for naval attack primary and alternate ground attack on Tagula with the range of 6. That would explain why these guys are set up to escort with range of 6. So these carriers are still here supporting things for now. The Japanese are still here on Rosso, and I don't understand how they're still alive. I guess they're going to have to be taken out in one final bonsai charge type thing. Over here in Tagula, I think we're still in the process of unloading some troops. Almost done. And then we're going to have all the combat power we're going to get for Tagula operation. But this should be enough to eventually attack these guys and take them out. There's not a lot of troops on this island. They should fall reasonably quickly. So now let's take a look at the Marshalls and the Gilberts area. So I just noticed some stuff, some big movements by Wirraway and his ships. At Kusai, we're down to just a few troops left on an amphibious task force. The carriers have pulled out of port. The Hornet, the Yorktown, and the Enterprise have left Kusai and are heading back to Macon. Right? We also have these guys pulling back to Korea. The escort carriers that were previously supporting Nauru have also pulled out, and they're heading back to Tabatuea. So I'm wondering if DesertWolf is starting to get some heebie-jeebies about the Kido Butai hanging out near, possibly near Truk, and he's making the Fletcher decision to leave while you still have troops and ships engaged on these 2 invasions, right? He's getting possibly concerned about the presence of the enemy carriers within the next couple days, and he's preemptively pulling his carriers back to preserve them, because these guys are not strong enough individually to do anything against the full strength of the Kido Butai. To have any hope of doing that, you need to have all 3 of these guys and all 3 of these guys to be on kind of some sort of parity and maybe trade with the Japanese, but not divided up like this. So I think that DesertWolf is being careful and is pulling his big stuff out of the area while he has time, because he does have some time. Okay, Washington's probably going to start pulling back. My guess is that the R-class battleships are going to start pulling back soon too, into the safety of the PBY spotting range that's going on right now. So we have a few more turns to go until we see if the enemy carriers are going to show up. But from my vantage point, it does appear that DesertWolf is proactively pulling back his stuff just in case they're on the way. But the problem is that he's also pulled back his invasion task force with all the troops loaded aboard it, right? We're not done here. We had more troops to unload at Nauru, and now it's not happening. So the only thing that's left, well, there's nothing left. These guys are just stuck here with this amount of supply, and that's all they're going to get, with not a lot of support. So these guys are they're going to be here for a while, I think, just kind of stuck. I don't think they're going to be in any position to actually attack, and I don't think the Japanese are in any position to attack. So this is just going to be a big stalemate on Nauru for a while until the location and the intention of the Kido Butai is determined, and in which case DesertWolf can probably look at moving these ships back. But the reason he's pulling them back is similar to the reason that he's pulling the carriers back, I assume. Where's it at? Right here. Because he doesn't want this task force caught with their pants down if a Kido Butai speeds in here and destroys these transports with 20 some odd thousand troops still aboard. That would be a bad day. And he's looking like he doesn't want anything to do with that. So he's pulling back to some safety. At this line of defense, he still gets an extra day of advance warning about when the KB is coming in, because we have the spotters at Ocean and give us that standoff range. It gives him 1 day before he has to get out of there. So I get what's happening here. Okay, I think that's it. I've talked long enough. I hope you enjoyed this turn. I'm going to go ahead and get on to the 7th of December right now, and we'll see how that one goes. So I'll catch you guys on the next one.